Investment advisory services offered through Independent Solutions Wealth Management and Blackridge Asset Management, LLC. Peak Broker Services, LLC is not an affiliate of Independent Solutions or Financial Guys, LLC.
You're listening to The Financial Guys.
We're $23 trillion in debt, honey. We don't have an extra surplus of money.
Newsflash, guys, stop attacking businesses, because when all the businesses are gone, nobody's going to pay your salary anymore. You get that?
If the goal is to create a loser mentality, you're winning.
I'm going to build a big, beautiful wall with a big, beautiful door. Well, guess what? We have a big, beautiful door, all right. It's the wide open southern border, right?
Yeah.
Here's Glenn Wiggle and Mike Lomas.
All righty, Mike Lomas, Glenn Wiggle, Financial Guys, the place where money meets politics in the middle of a COVID crisis. And really, I don't think the crisis is the virus anymore. I think it's really socialism/communism. And we're going to play some clips from King Andrew Cuomo and really just talk about some articles here and, maybe even mix in some money along the way. For those of you, let's get right into it, Glenn. I want to play some of the clips from King Andrew Cuomo. I'm really nervous. It's funny because, in the state of New York, I just think we have now gone over the tipping point, right? I mean, you used to have geographically, you'd have, let's say, 80% of the state that was conservative thinking and 20% that was liberal. Unfortunately, 10% of the state, or really about 1% geographically of the state and the city, would drive everything. But I got to tell you, that 1% has now tipped the scale, and it is really, really scary when I hear Andrew Cuomo and his demands and telling you that we're going to hunt you down. And I hear, the Erie County Health Commissioner say, you better rat in your buddies and your friends. I was talking to Kelsey before the show, and she was saying that, now, is there a hotline now, or they're encouraging you to call in to blow in house parties? So if you're just gathering with your friends and family in your private property, I mean, this is out of control, and the stupidity, it just never ceases to amaze me. I went out to dinner on Saturday with the family, and I refused to watch the NBA even though I love basketball. And, so they've got these players, and this is how asinine things have just become. They have these players now. Of course, you can't go watch a game. God forbid you go watch a game. But they have the players socially distancing on the bench. I mean, come on, stop. Just stop.
What's even dumber, Mike, is the fact that they're all kneeling. You're all multi-millionaires.
That's right.
You made it.
I know.
You're not oppressed.
No,
I have
nothing
news
oppressed about
for you. You live in a mansion. Okay,
Right.
You have it better off than most everybody else in this country. You're not only the top 1%, you're the top 1% of 1%.
Right. That's right.
Okay, you did it.
That's right.
So I love this, Colin Kaepernick or who's the other basketball player? Who's the LeBron James?
LeBron
right?
James,
King James, right?
He's worth like $500 million or something, some ridiculous number. Yeah.
Yeah. Which multi-million-dollar mansion are you going to lecture us from on?
Right.
We have never had. Look, here's the deal, folks, and get your history right. We lost over 800,000 Americans, white Americans, fought to free black slaves. I have more news for you, more history lessons.
Yeah.
Black folks owned black slaves.
That's
I have
right.
more history for you. White folks in Europe and most of the world for many years owned white slaves. Black folks owned white slaves, and white folks owned black slaves. I don't know what to tell you. Slavery's been going on around the globe for thousands and thousands of years. The history that I understand, though, is that this country, under the leadership of Abraham Lincoln, lost hundreds of thousands of American lives to end slavery in the Western Hemisphere. It's still going on in the Eastern Hemisphere, folks.
That's right.
Go online, look up Libya, look at what's going on. There's an active trade going on, slave trade going on in Africa, and yet LeBron James is going to... Is LeBron James doing anything to free his brothers and sisters in Libya? No.
Right. No.
Is LeBron James doing anything to fix the inner cities and help out in Chicago with the mass murders and shootings? No. LeBron James is going to sit back in his mansion and lecture us on how, we've never had a movement in this country that's brought equality to African Americans.
As he's making $1 billion playing a sport, throwing a basketball, right?
Seriously.
In a ring.
You can't even take these people serious.
No, I can't. But I'll tell you what, it's also a business model for them, right? Because then you have companies like Nike that step up and go, oh, well, okay, great. You took a stance. Wonderful. Here's a $100 million contract so we can sell some more Nikes.
Make no mistake, the Black Lives Matter and Antifa are the brown shirts of today, right? These are the Nazi brown shirts. They're the paramilitary wing of the Democrat Party. They're being funded by George Soros. They're being funded by probably the DNC and probably the Hillary Clinton
and
Foundation.
led by suburban white females.
Exactly, and they're here to, as the one woman said in Portland, you know, we don't only want to abolish the police. We want to abolish the United States as we know it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess what? I know it to be a place of prosperity. I know America to be a place of opportunity. I know America is a place where you can come here as an immigrant with nothing and become a multi-millionaire by working hard and coming up with a
number
good,
one place
product.
in the whole world where you can go within a 10-year block from the lowest tax ring to the highest tax ring statistically, right? In just a 10-year block.
Right.
They don't see any of that. It's
Nope.
really, truly sad. And
Nope.
they, by the way, they're doing a great job, bang-up job of smashing some of these communities. You know, here in Buffalo, and I'm trying to get him on, but is it the mayor or the mayor of the town of Amherst, which is where our headquarters
Supervisor.
is. Town supervisor, right? Yeah. Town supervisor apparently said, now I want to get this from him, but apparently he said, leave those protesters alone the other day as they're smashing windows now in the suburbs. So they've gone now from the city of Buffalo now to the suburbs of Amherst. And so the supervisor instructs the police department to back off and let them protest. Well, back off and let them protest is fine. Back off letting them smash in car windows is a whole different story, right?
Why are we putting up with this, folks?
No,
when are we going to get together and say, look, I'm in. I'll be the first one. Why don't we get 500 to 1,000 citizens together? Because this is where it's going, right? Seattle, by the way, and Minneapolis have both abolished their police forces. And what they're saying is we're going to have citizen police forces. Does that mean conservatives like you and I? Or does that mean Antifa and Black Lives Matter bullies that are the tyrants of the block, right?
Yeah, what happens when
I
go out and defend my neighborhood, right? Then I'm the bad guy. I'm in the middle of a court situation.
Well,
like the people in Minneapolis who did try to defend their property, St. Louis, right? Tried to defend their property, and then you've got some scumbag prosecutor that says, "Shame on you! I'm going to bring up charges against you." As they're smashing down the gates to get through the community.
But when do we come up with a Minutemen concept? And I think we need to come back to the Minutemen, those that are willing to be ready at the drop of a hat to show up where it's needed, like volunteer firefighters. Where we can coordinate it. We have the technology where we can send out an immediate text message to everybody that wants to volunteer, and then 1,000 of us show up at Main and Transit, and we remove the scum blocking the traffic.
That's right.
We don't have to shoot them. We don't have to beat them up. We can by masses of force. We can just walk arm in arm and just clean out the intersection. And those that fight back, well, we'll see what happens. But, ultimately, are we going to sit back and let them smash windows? I'm afraid that Biden's going to win. I'm afraid Biden's going to win simply because people are afraid to come out, right? They're afraid to hang a Trump flag. I'm going to put a giant Trump flag on my house, and I dare you to come by and try to take it down. I'm so sick and tired of this. When is enough enough? I can tell you that they start to confront the wrong people in the streets, and this is going to happen. You're going to see more innocent people die because someone's going to step out and shoot them. That's what's going to happen. Nobody wants to see that. Most of these kids need mental help. They've been indoctrinated in these public schools, which are lousy, and they need actual help to understand what America really is. What does American exceptionalism mean? Why is that important? And they need to understand that the fact that they were born here makes them the luckiest person on the face of the planet. These kids are just snot-nosed kids, and they're being coddled by their liberal professor mothers, white in most cases, right, that also hate America. What are we allowing to go on in our schools? I say defund the schools completely at this point. You want to defund something? Defund the schools.
If you want to watch a school system that's going to implode, you can look at New York City, because now they're talking about no COVID vaccine, no in-person education, right? That's where it's going. And so this is the...
you tested on your kids, not on mine.
So the experience... So now, that's right. They fast-tracked the COVID vaccine. God bless you. You want to take that? God bless you, right? I don't want... My children have a 0% chance of dying from COVID, so I don't want them taking some fast-tracked COVID vaccine. But now they're saying, which we knew this was where it was going, right? In New York City, look, if you don't take the vaccine, you're not coming in. You can say bye-bye to New York City, by the way. New York City is gone. The liberals have won, and they have turned that they were now in the process of turning that city into Venezuela.
Back to the 1970s, folks. Right back to the 70s.
You are looking at retail stores that are going to be totally vacant. You are looking, by the way, Andrew Cuomo the other day says, well, I don't really want it. He said he didn't want to tax the wealthy anymore. We already have the highest taxes. Andrew, you know exactly what you're going to do.
Yep.
What you're going to do is continue to go after those people until there's nobody left.
Yep.
We have about 100 billionaires in the state. My guess is you'll see that number go down to 50 to 25 within the next 2 to 3 years. You will see them relocate and get the heck out because they already know they're on the list. Although some of them have turned it into a model, right? Some of them, you watch these people just sit back and you wonder, how in the world could they put up with this, right? How could Bill Gates, how could he watch his hometown of Seattle turn into such a filthy pigsty, right? And not, now burned out and blown out, buildings and stuff like that. But, Bill has, he's benefited from billions of dollars worth of our tax money, right?
Yep.
Warren Buffett the same way, right? So you go, well, how could they sit back? They'll buy some of these properties is what they'll end up doing, right?
Sure.
And they'll probably get our tax money to do it, right? So some of these, they've mastered it. And you wonder, like, how in the world do all these billionaires, like you and I are just so outraged right now, right? You can feel when we get on the podcast, we get on the radio, you can feel the anger as to what's going on around us. Frustration. Then you look at these billionaires, they're like, nah, it's okay. Well, why is it? Well, it's because they're abusing us. They're abusing every single one of us.
They live in their own compound. You think Bill Gates has to worry about security? Do you think Bill Gates has to worry if they defund the Seattle police?
No.
Who's going to get hurt if they defund the Seattle police? The people that need the police the most. Sadly, mostly the black communities where the crime is. I mean, let's be honest. Like that's where the police are responding to, right?
Yeah.
Those are the folks that need the police. If you ask most of the folks in those communities, the vast majority, 2/3, would say, no, we want the police. We need the police. Like, we don't. What do you mean no police? Are you crazy?
Yeah,
These poor people are going to suffer. You have no idea, folks. When you start talking, it sounds so nice. We're going to defund the police and I'll hand out daisies and roses to each other.
We'll police ourselves.
Wait till Tyrone takes over the corner.
Right.
Wait till the biggest thug on the block who's got guns on both hips and has no problem blowing a kid's head off. Look, folks, I saw a woman holding her baby in Chicago, gunned down and shot in the back. She died, I think. If you haven't seen that video, go watch it. Go watch it. And then think about who you're supporting for this upcoming election in all seriousness. How in the world? I'm telling you, those that say I'm supporting Biden, I don't want anything to do with you. If you're my friend and you're listening to this right now and you think, well, I might vote for Biden, don't ever talk to me again. I'm telling you. Don't call me. Don't come to my house. Don't go to a family picnic. Don't show up anywhere near me. I am done with you. I don't know what else to tell you. Wake up, America. Watch what's going on.
This isn't about two moderates that you could go, well, I agree with this and I don't agree with this.
No.
This is about the destruction of the country.
They're openly saying it.
They've openly said it, and that's right. And we've already seen it, right? You've seen what they've done in the inner cities. These Democrats have run these inner cities literally into the ground. They look like war zones, right?
Yeah.
And now what they're saying is, hey, this is a great strategy. Let's employ this thing across the country into the places we haven't smashed yet. Hey, let's, by the way, if you're just tuning in, hit the bell, subscribe to us on YouTube, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, The Financial Guys, and our website, thefinancialguys.com for all our social media stuff. We do manage money for a living, so if you want to interview our team, whether it's offices in Rochester, Buffalo, New York, and down in South Florida, we can help, okay? Go to our website, thefinancialguys.com.
Let me play this clip for a second.
I want to play that video clip.
This is not the Cuomo. I want to play this clip real quick. This is like a 45-second, 50-second clip. And this, you're not going to hear this. There's nothing to hear here, so you got to go to the YouTube video, like us on YouTube. You got to watch this. This is the inner cities now, okay? There's fires. There's just burnt out buildings. I mean, this is what
is that the one of the Sunday afternoon stroll in Minneapolis?
This is a montage. No, this
seriously looks like it looks
outrageous.
like Iraq when we invaded Iraq.
That's what this looks like. This is a montage of mainly of Minneapolis, but it's unbelievable, folks.
Yeah.
Right, here we go. Maybe not.
That's fire in the background.
If you can't see this, you need to see this. You need to go to our YouTube channel when the video comes out and watch this.
Yeah.
This is our inner cities, folks.
You'd never say that's in the United States of America.
No.
Never. Right.
It's unbelievable. Burning buildings. I mean, burnt out shells of buildings. This is Minneapolis.
Yes. When you look at these videos, you say, okay, that's when we went in and got the Taliban or something.
Right.
But no.
This looks like Tikrit. Yeah, in Iraq. It's unreal.
Yeah.
O'Reilly's Auto Parts, all the windows smashed, justice written on.
Nothing says justice than smashing out an
Right?
auto parts store where you might need to go buy auto parts from in the next week or two
Right.
to fix your car.
We don't need to play any more of that. That's probably enough right there.
Yeah, but
It's-
seriously, if you're listening, go to
outrageous.
YouTube and check it out. or
I
whatever.
don't understand though. Like, what do you when you look at that, folks? If you're a liberal, and I know you're probably not listening, but what are you thinking?
Right.
I mean, I don't get it. Like, I don't look. I know people that are on the left. I get it. Most of them are good people, but grossly misinformed. I mean, just grossly misinformed. Please, please, please wake up. It only took 10 years for Venezuela to go from the richest to the poorest country in the world.
We're getting there.
We are heading there
We are
so
heading there
fast, you have
It's
no
not even funny.
idea.
Yep. They have taken this crisis. When you look at the statistics, now we already know, and we've talked about this for week in and week out, right? College of Business expert, by the way, Florida's grim coronavirus outlook is a false narrative. So we know the reporting is false. We know the deaths are false. Actually, Charlie in our office talked to a doctor out of Chicago, and she said to Charlie, she goes, Charlie, I don't even want to think about what these real numbers are, but they are nowhere near where they really should be, meaning I know for a fact that we have hospice patients that have been on their deathbed for weeks of everything else, cancer, all kinds of stuff. We're marking them down as COVID. Folks in car accidents, heroin overdoses, same thing. We've heard this time and time again. And here's a professor out of college that put together an analysis. Rebel Cole is his name, PhD out of Florida Atlantic University. And he says, look, these numbers are not even close when they're tracking the positives and negatives. Well, I think it's up to like 300 now testing places in Florida that we found that they are 90-something% off. But nobody, and where's Trump, by the way? Where is Trump saying these numbers are bullshit? Where is Donald?
I don't know. Well, Donald's got some people around him that are saying, well, this isn't the hill to die on. I mean, I had a conversation with somebody. What about the whole masking? Well, this is not the hill. This is the problem with the whole Republican Party, Mike, is it's never the hill to die on. But the Democrats...
They never compromise a bit.
Never.
Not one penny.
They
Not
never
a
give an
penny.
inch. The Democrats just move the needle, move it ahead, inch forward, inch forward.
Yeah.
And then when you say, well, we got to work, 2 more hours, two more minutes for a school day. No, they can't do it.
Yep.
They never, ever give up an inch. Republicans, on the other hand, well, this isn't a hill to die on. Better retreat again. We'll take this hill. Well, this isn't a hill to die on. Better retreat again. We'll take this hill. And they back up, and they back up, and they back up. The march towards Marxism, we talk about the Democrats, you rest assured, everything that they say and accuse Republicans of, they themselves are doing.
Every time.
The Me Too movement is probably the most obvious one. But let's look at the Russian collusion thing. Russia. Who is meddling with the elections right now, folks? Is it Russia or is it the Democrat Party with the assistance of China? It's China. Is who's doing right.
That's right.
China
would
Russia,
love nothing better than Joe Biden in office. They can
Absolutely.
just go back to running right over us.
They
Right.
already got Hunter on the payroll. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, seriously.
That's right. Right.
I mean, how much?
That's right.
What a
He's
joke.
got a condo there, I'm sure, already. Yeah.
So we've been on a 100-year global fight between free market capitalism and free market democracies and communism. That's what we've been. This has been an ongoing battle. We fought wars over this, right? We fought the Korean War. We fought the Vietnam War. All over the march of communism, right? We lost some. We won some. What we're losing now, folks, we're not even a shot's being fired. And these communists have figured out how to infiltrate our school systems, right?
Yep.
How to get Americans to hate America, right? How to get our own people to talk about abolishing America as we know it. And what would go in its place, might I ask you, whatever her name was, non-binary,
let's go around the world.
non-conforming, whatever,
Let's go around the
whatever
world
she
and
was.
pick out a system that you like. That's been time
let us know
tested
which is better.
But to your point, what happened is when you look at the dependency on government, right? And we've been talking for years about the tipping point, and it literally went from, well, we need Social Security. These people aren't smart enough to save for their own retirement. They need Social Security. Oh, they're not smart enough to put away money. They can't possibly do it. We need to pay for their health care at a certain point, right? We need massive amounts of welfare because these people just can't pick themselves up by their own bootstraps, right? It was one social program after another, and now we are so dependent on the government that even the Republicans, right, are saying, well, and rightfully so, look at you took my money, I want it back when it comes to things like Social Security, but you can't cut a thing except for the fact that some of these inner cities have now defunded their police departments by $1 billion.
Right. Couldn't cut a thing. Yeah, de Blasio can't cut a nickel anywhere, but
you
no
had
problem.
massive government
$1 billion.
programs, government program after government program. The only thing I hope at the end of this, and I'm trying to be a little bit optimistic, is the fact that we are going to hopefully at some point, either you're going to have massive tax increases or you're going to finally start to gut the size of government. And by gutting the size of government, does that put enough people back over in the private sector where they start to shift their thinking over the next 10 to 20 years? And that could be a positive out of this whole mess. It really could be. I'm not saying it's going to be. I'm not saying it's going to be.
I don't
I'm just saying
so.
It could be, right? You could have, you're already talking about, Erie County that's having to be forced to lay people off, right? I know that's a bad thing, but in the long term, that could be a good thing. It could force people over in the private sector, which would get them to actually really, truly understand what life's all about, which is not happening now in Erie County because these people are giving themselves raises as the rest of the world is crippling, right?
It's sickening.
You've got health inspectors and liquor inspectors going to knock out the 40% of restaurants that are actually still trying to operate at some limited capacity.
Yep.
By the way, what's the end of that? Like 20% are going to be left? 5%?
No, there'll be none left. Why would you still even try to operate? I mean, I hate to say, if you own a bar right now, if you own a restaurant, why would you even continue in New York State? I mean, in all seriousness.
Just pack it up, right? Take your losses and move on. Right?
I know friends and family are the only reason people stay in Western New York, but if you're going to be harassed. I mean, we talked to the restaurant owner of Neat this past, was it this past Saturday? Time flies, right?
Yes.
This past Saturday, we talked to the owner of Neat, right? The health inspectors showed up again and again and again and again, right?
Apparently with people with guns. Like, this is like, are you kidding? Now, there's people literally protesting, smashing windows right in front of the restaurant. And you've got the supervisor of Amherst saying, don't touch those people, yet they go in with guns into a restaurant that I've been there a lot of times. The name is Neat, and I got to be honest with you, it's really neat. I mean, it's a clean restaurant. They do a good job.
What's the reason to show up with? So they went in 3 times based on complaints. Every time they get a complaint, they have to investigate. What was the reason to go in with 4 armed officers in uniform?
Right.
Seriously.
Right.
What was the reason?
Nothing.
Is it for intimidation? That's the reason. It's pure intimidation.
Because they can.
It's intimidation to go in there and say, you did something wrong, even though he's not done anything wrong from the previous 3 times they went in there, right? When is enough, folks? And of course, when you hear guys like that, he's scared. He's like, well, I don't dare say anything else. They're going to shut me down altogether. I'm sure they're going to continue to harass him, right?
He's scared to death.
When do you stand up and say enough is enough?
You start to see business owners who have risked their lives. They've risked their lives to build these businesses up, and you can tell by their voice they're scared. Oh my God, please don't bring me into this. I'm thinking to myself, this is Cuba, folks.
Yes.
This is absolutely Cuba. Can we play? Let's play some of Mr. Andrew Cuomo, because when I hear his voice and I hear what he's saying, it scares the daylights out of me.
It's
really, truly. We are here, folks. Like you said, for years, you go, okay, when's it going to collapse? Then I love some of these Democrats, but some of these Democrat attorneys who are now suing the governor, and they're just shocked that he would abuse his powers like this. Just shocked. I'm thinking to myself, how in the world could you be so smart to get through law school, but yet so dumb not to understand the outcome of some of this stuff? How could you be that stupid?
When you feed the monster, it comes for all of us, and that's the problem. This is why I'm so angry, folks. This is why I say I don't want anything to do with Democrats, because guess what happens? These mayors, no problem. They're just peaceful. And then suddenly they march down the mayor's street, and the mayor's house gets spray painted. And all of a sudden, these mayors are like, whoa, wait a minute
we
now.
Need the police, though.
We got to have the police, right? It's all good and hunky-dory as long as they're beating somebody else up on the street, right? It's all hunky-dory as long as they're smashing somebody else's window, isn't it? Until it's your window with your kids in the car and your family that's at risk as your car gets surrounded, right?
Unfortunately, it'll never be Andrew Cuomo's family because he's on a freaking helicopter with his family, right?
Never.
And he's getting a security all around him to take him from his house to his helicopter. So it won't be him ever.
Never, ever. No,
Let's play some of the videos.
All right, here we go.
We'll get through parts of this. We won't be able to not stop it.
This man makes me sick. Sick to just listen to.
Double duty, and we have a great announcement today that we joined in this morning, which I'm going to chat about in a moment. Today is day 156 for those who are counting.
156.
Let's stop it right there. So we're 3
Still
seconds in.
150.
156 days into this. We were told it's
2
going to be
weeks.
no more than 2 weeks, right? It's just a temporary shutdown. We just want to make sure we don't overwhelm the healthcare system. Yep, that's what we were told. 156 days into it. And by the way, by the time you're done with this, he's not even close to done right now. He's not even close to done. And these Democrats have total amnesia. They don't give a shit about real life statistics, right?
No.
He's still thinking, look at how much better we did than the state of Florida, right? Well, the state of Florida, we know that the actual positive cases, quote, hotspot, that's all bullshit, and the deaths aren't even close to what they are in New York State.
The state of Florida has 1/4 of the death rate as New York, Mike.
Yeah, and they both, by the way, those are bullshit as well. We've talked about this for weeks. Those are both bullshit. Florida and the state of New York, the deaths are bullshit. And I'm calling out 50 to 80% of those deaths did not die of COVID. They died of other things and had COVID in them.
Well, they just did a study on it. They came out with they had a nurse that died of liver disease.
Mm-hmm.
They counted. They had a gunshot victim to the head that they counted.
There's a guy killed in a motorcycle accident in Florida. They counted him as a COVID.
So, but even when you count those, Mike,
Yes.
Governor Cuomo's taking a victory lap, folks.
Yeah.
And you folks in the media are so dishonest, right?
Yeah, disgusting.
First of all, 30,000 deaths, right? 25% of the total deaths in this country come in New York. Why? Bad policies. 50% of the total deaths from COVID have come from nursing homes. 50%.
Yep.
Of the 50%, almost a third of that comes from New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Why? Because they all forced their hospitals and their nursing homes to take COVID-positive patients.
Meanwhile, they had
the
plenty of room to keep those people, plenty of room and
sure they
plenty
did.
of
Of course they did.
ventilators and all the other BS.
Right.
Yep. Let's go
It's
back to
amazing. All right.
Does, among other things,
156. They
administration
156.
of the airports, building
backed
the
it up
new
too
John
far.
F. Kennedy, rebuilding JFK.
Building
so he's been doing double duty.
Bring me some soup.
And, we
Hey,
have a
get
great
over here.
announcement today that we joined in this morning, which I'm going to chat about in a moment. Today is day 156 for those who are counting. If you're not counting, it's still day 156. Number of hospitalizations, 536. What does that number mean?
It means
a
it's
new
nothing.
low.
That's right.
That's what it means. It means it's so goddamn minuscule that we
Yeah.
shouldn't be even noticing. Are you
we should
kidding
be
me?
we should be watching the Yankees.
20
We
million
should-
people.
Not that I'm a big NFL fan, but the Bills training camp should be open to everybody at
Lord.
this point, right? You keep playing. Gets better, actually.
100. We have. How do we say? What do you say? 156 people.
The better
Out of
part is we have 3
20
people that died
million
yesterday.
people.
3 people. 3 people.
unbelievable.
And I'll bet
Midst
everything I
of the
have
battle.
out of the 3 people that all 3 had pre-existing conditions, probably.
Right.
All 3 at this point.
So that is great news. Number of COVID patients in ICU, 136. Also a new low since the height of the crisis.
20 million people, folks. 136.
Number of
in ICU.
intubations, 62. Also
Way more people with
a new
with
low.
normal pneumonia,
So that's great
normal flu
news.
right now. And
Why are they still intubating people?
I don't know.
It's been clearly proven in all the
Yeah.
studies I've seen that it
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be
I don't think he even
effective.
knows. I don't even think he knows.
He
He's
doesn't
just
care.
got to continue
Oh,
with
it's
the
about
fear,
money. He
so,
gets more
yeah.
money. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Number of lives lost, a new low on the 3-day average. 3 people passed away yesterday.
3.
Unbelievable.
That is really
So
unbelievable.
this is really
How many people died yesterday from car accidents? in New York State?
Suicides. How many
many-
people died of suicide yesterday, Glenn, because they lost their job and everything that they freaking worked for over the last 40 years? I assure you it's more than 3.
I would think so. How many people lost their lives from drug overdoses yesterday in
Yeah.
New York?
Yeah. Yep. Heroin overdoses.
More
right?
than 3.
Alcoholism, because they've been forced to stay in their house for 3 months here straight.
It's craziness.
Yep.
all great, great news, and I congratulate New Yorkers because this is purely a result of the actions that they've been.
No, it's
okay,
not.
I'm sorry.
No, it's
I've
not.
got to say this. Ben
it's
Shapiro
not.
did an awesome show on Monday. If you missed Ben Shapiro's radio show yesterday, go listen to his podcast. Go listen to the radio show because he is spot on.
Mm-hmm.
The fact of the matter is that New York had the harshest, most draconian lockdown rules. They closed every single business. They closed down schools. They were one of the first to require a mask mandate. They're out there shutting down restaurants or shutting down businesses, and yet somehow they still had the most deaths in the country.
But by the way, who predicted that? I did.
Does that mean lockdowns work?
And I
don't
no,
know.
and he'll say this.
Clearly
by the way.
not.
This is how much of a
Gosh.
moron these people are. This is what's so frustrating about it, right? They know. He said himself, 70% of the people going into the hospital with severe cases of COVID locked down in their house. I said on a podcast months ago, I said, okay, if we know that, then stop freaking doing that. You know that it's not working, right? And I predicted, by the way, that when we open the economy, the rates would go down, not up. And everybody said, you're out of your mind, you're crazy. Well, let's keep with the video, because now moron Andrew Cuomo can't figure out why that happened. Watch, we just play
Progress
it.
is better than expected,
Yeah, I'll play that.
What's what, destroying the economy? Is that it?
Yeah.
taking. The progress is even better than we expected. Remember when we started reopening, all the experts said,
Nope.
expect
Not this
the
one.
infection rate to increase when
Not
the
this one.
activity rate increases.
Yep. Nope. I predicted the
That's what
opposite.
you've seen all across the country.
I predicted just the opposite. We have to find that clip. I said just the opposite will happen. You know why? Here's what my prediction was. Because the government is freaking always wrong. They are always wrong. It's the same thing with tax policy. So anybody with a brain in their head would say, wait a minute, we opened the economy in New York State, and the more we opened it, the more the cases went away. Okay, I got a genius idea. Let's do more of that. But they can't figure it out. This is how stupid liberals are, right? When you say to them, look, we did a tax cut, and everybody put more money in their pocket, and the
government got more revenue.
And the government got more revenue, and we shortened the gap between the wealthier people and the poorer people, right? The poorer people actually became more wealthier. Everybody won. They still can't get it, right? Barack Obama said, well, it's not fair. Wait a minute, you're not looking at the freaking numbers. He
doesn't care, but that's right there is exactly what he means.
But they don't care about this. This is exactly like tax policy, Glenn. Exactly like tax policy right now. When it comes to liberal thinking, they are mentally ill, and how could you not look at this and go, okay, look at to me, I'm going, okay, open up the Yankees, because guess what? The more we open things, the more the cases seem to go down. If we open, I'll even say this: if we open all this stuff and everything starts to get considerably higher, okay, then you go back to shutting it down. But open the goddamn economy.
All of these
won't.
spikes that they talked about in Florida, Texas, Arizona, they've already seen the highs.
Yes.
They're already starting
on
to
their way
decline
down.
again,
Yep.
right?
Yep. Same
so
pattern
Did
that
we
we
get a
talked
slight
about.
uplift when things open? Of course we did. Everybody expected that. But again, as long as the hospitalizations and the death rates are down, that's the most important metric.
But did we get a spike, Glenn? Because my argument would be we didn't actually get a spike in Florida.
Right.
What happened in the state of Florida was we started testing people,
Yes,
right?
huge.
Because the death rates went down. And even in the liberal media, they didn't dare over brag about this story. Right. But over the last bunch of weeks, they were going, geez, there's more people with this, but the death rates are going down. We can't figure out why. And then they take that story and they shove it on the side. Why? Because it doesn't fit their scare the shit out of you rhetoric. What happened in the state of Florida was, let's test everybody, number one. So we actually had the ability to test. Number two, let's lie about all the tests. So when they come in and say it's 9.6 out of 100 people, we're going to put it as 96% of people. So they lied about it. Number three, the death rates have started to go down, which is all a good sign. It's going bye-bye.
Well, Trump needs to get up and talk about this.
He needs to get a set of balls, because he deserves to lose the election if he doesn't.
Here's the thing: is I think Trump is banking on, and that is the debates. And I'm telling you,
They might not happen.
That's the thing. So Biden has already agreed to 3 debates. If he gets on that stage to debate President Trump, people are going to absolutely see how dementia has really diminished his mental ability.
Yeah.
Trump is going to mop the floor with Joe Biden. Biden can't possibly get up there, so they already tried to put the trial balloon out there. New York Times op-ed this week. Why do we even need a debate?
Yeah.
Oh, this whole thing is a fake. He's a fake candidate. This is like watching something that what was it?
Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
I don't think for a second,
unbelievable.
by the way, that these Democrats wouldn't say, okay, well, because of social distancing, all this stuff, they need to debate in 2 different places, and they'll have people feeding him the answers, right? I mean, we already know with Hillary, they actually gave her the questions.
They gave her the questions. It won't matter.
Right?
They could give her the questions. It won't make a difference.
Yeah.
The movie that I was referring to was something Dreyfus. Not I can't think of his name. He's a great actor. He's hilarious.
I'm so bad with movies.
He basically the leader of Paraguay died, and they didn't want. He was a dictator, and they were worried that the whole country. So they found this guy who would actually looks kind of like him, and they dressed him up as an actor, and he literally played the dictator as a part. And ran the whole country, and it was hilarious. It was a comedy. But this is what we have here, right?
Yeah.
We have a whole media, Hollywood, and I said, well, we both said this 9 months ago. The only way that Biden can win is if it's a completely manufactured campaign of nothing but sound bites and an ad spend, and
They're
that's
doing their
exactly
best.
what you're getting. Yeah. Well, yeah, Moon over Paraguay. That's it. Lily's helping me out here. Thank you. Moon
And
over
I'll have
Paraguay.
to watch that.
Who is it? Oh, Parador. Yeah, well, it's based off of Paraguay. Yeah, Moon over Parador. So,
All right. I'll try to
hilarious.
watch that.
Anyway, let me finish with this Cuomo clip.
What you've seen in other countries, and that's what we expected here. We then were talking about calibrating the increase and making sure it didn't go that high, but it was supposed to go up. After two and a half months of reopening, the numbers have actually gone down.
Then why have we opened
which
everything?
Nobody.
Right.
Why are
suggested.
they threatening?
That's not true,
then?
though. That's
It's not true. It's totally
that's not true. We suggested that would happen. We suggested that would happen. We called that. We called that on the show.
Well,
I have to get those
but there
clips.
was an uptick in July. But
Yeah,
that's
no.
but Mike, that's not true either. There wasn't a. Remember, polling cards came out and said, "Well, we had an uptick in July.
Yeah,
July
for
was
a
a
day.
rough month, right? But it was. But still, why are they still threatening then to shut us down?
Oh, this gets better. Keep going. Keep
Oh,
going.
boy.
You'll like what he says next because this
And
is
that
scary.
is really to compliment New Yorkers.
You are
We
listening
started
to me.
reopening May 15th. That's where it was on the curve. You call it a curve. I call it a descent of the mountain. We get to the same
mountain
place.
of death
We
that you
just have
created.
different metaphorical images. But that's where the reopening started. Since the reopening, the numbers continue to go down. No expert predicted that. So New Yorkers are
But
doing
can you stop it right
better
there?
than
See,
anyone else.
so that's the
New
problem.
Yorkers are
Mike.
doing better than
No-
anyone else.
No,
4 times the death rate, Mike.
No expert has predicted this. Well, maybe, Andrew, it's because the experts, the very same experts, also predicted that we would have. They were 96% off. 96% off. These are the same experts that said we were going to have 2 million people die of COVID. We're up to 150,000 with all the bullshit numbers.
No.
Not even close.
We're probably.
Not
in all
even
reality,
close.
you can probably
We're
take that number
of
in
that.
half. Yeah,
I would bet it's half.
Yeah,
I
half
would
that
bet
number.
it's half of that.
So
Yep.
if you take that number and you put it in half, then
Yep.
you're right around the nasty flu season we had in
That's
2018.
right. That's right.
I
We
mean,
lost 80,000 2 years ago
Yeah.
from the flu,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And but who knows? Who knows what that number is? I mean, really, truly, we've talked to doctors that have said very few people actually die of one thing wrong with them, unless you're in a car accident or something like that. Most of the time, your system can fight one thing; it can't fight 11 things.
Right.
So if you have cancer throughout your body and then you get the flu, we mark you down as a cancer death because that's what really killed you. Although the flu probably helped at the end, right?
Right. The flu pushes
disgusting.
it over the edge,
Yeah.
right?
Well, sorry, I went off on a tangent there. Where are we? You want to keep playing?
He's the best in the world. The New York
No.
is the most
Okay,
wonderful state
best
in
in
the
the world.
country. And
Now listen to this because this is where it
geniuses.
gets scary to me.
Even expected. Cautious still.
Why?
Well, why shouldn't we be celebrating?
Yeah, why shouldn't we?
Because look around.
Look around.
That's why.
Where?
Look at what's going on across the country.
Mm.
Look at those increases. Look at what
Death
we're
rates are
dealing
still
with in
falling,
terms of
folks.
now 39
Nationwide.
states on the quarantine list.
Yeah,
Your
and your
quarantine
quarantine
list.
list.
Look at incidents of lack of compliance.
Oh, here we go. Here we
The
go.
numbers are a result of the actions.
Oh.
And we have been disciplined, and we have to stay disciplined.
Okay.
In terms
Lack
of
of compliance.
Wait a minute. We
Lack
have
of
to stay
compliance.
disciplined.
This
This
is-
from the
this
guy
is-
who just flew to Georgia with
This
no
is Cuba,
mask.
folks. This is Cuba, folks.
Yeah, it
Listen,
is.
can you back that up a little bit and just listen to what he just said? Lack of compliance.
right.
Lack of compliance. So the COVID police are coming to get you. Lack of compliance. For you Democrats that go through with this, shame on you. For you Democrats who support this radical dude, shame on you.
Same thing with you
have no
Republicans.
idea. He's coming for you too. It will come for
Yep.
you as well. The
Yep.
monster, as you pointed out, will come to get everybody.
The monster eats
It's just a
everybody.
matter of when. It's like the mob, right? If you watch those old mob movies,
Yep.
everybody ends up dying.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
The numbers are a result of the actions. And we have been disciplined, and we have to stay disciplined. In terms of enforcement, local governments have to do a better job.
This
I don't
is-
know
this is
how
disgusting.
else to say
Disgusting.
it. We're doing everything we can on the state side. The SLA and the state police are working double duty.
Shame on you, state
We
police.
have a
Shame
problem
on
with young people and lack of compliance.
Problem with young people.
We
They're
have a
not.
problem
They're not
especially
listening.
at bars and restaurants.
Time for re-education camps.
Yep.
Oh, we had those. I'm sorry. Public schools. My bad. Yeah, we already
That's
got
right.
that.
That's right.
Last night they did another 29 violations. They checked 874 establishments.
Unbelievable.
Over the weekend, they checked 3,000 establishments. and
Don't
did
give a
overtime
crap about the
106
protests.
Violations.
Don't give a crap
All
about the
this to
protests.
say to the bars and restaurants, follow the rules.
The
Because
rules.
if you don't follow the rules, chances are, likelihood is, someone's going to be there to watch and to check.
Ooh.
And that's the way it should be.
To
If you're
me,
following
doesn't
the
that freak you
rules,
out?
fine.
Like, this
That's
guy is
communism.
nuts. He
It's-
is absolutely nuts. Like, there's going to be somebody to watch you every step of the way. Big Brother's here. We're coming after you. He is crazy, mentally ill, and you're just as sick if you're supporting this guy.
I get so mad, folks, because I think about my kids' future. I
Yes.
really do. I
Yeah,
think
it's
about
not
the,
here
I
in
think
New
about
York,
the
for
future
sure.
for my children. I'm not even
Right.
sure it's in the United States.
I agree.
I mean, I'm starting to talk to my family now about where do you look in the world for the freest place, right?
I don't know.
I'm
know.
looking at Sweden right now. Looking at
I don't know.
Belize. I'm telling you where
Yeah.
I'm looking. Look, folks. I'm not going to stick around while they start kicking in doors and saying, "Give me your firearms," because we had a
Right.
complaint from your neighbor. That we
That's
have those
right.
laws in the books now too, right? Turn in your friends, turn in your neighbors.
right.
They
That's
did
right.
this in communist Russia. They got families to turn on each other. They got neighbors to turn on each other.
Yeah.
They took the people that were turned. They didn't get a fair trial. They were hauled off to an education camp in Siberia, oftentimes never to be seen again.
Yep.
Sadly, the people in the family that turned in their mom, turned in their dad, turned in
For
their
the
brother,
betterment
turned
of
in-
everybody,
for the
Glenn, no?
betterment of the group.
For the benefit of the
it was a
group.
betterment of. They didn't even realize what they were doing. You're sending
Right.
your parents to a death camp. But
Right.
they didn't realize. They didn't understand. They were so indoctrinated. They were so, completely brainwashed by the propaganda that they understood it was for the greater good, the greater
Yep.
good, the greater good. And so they understood that there was a collective greater good. You look at, when you listen to Chinese folks that escape the communist
Yep.
system, they talk about, all the statues are to Xi Jinping. And, back when Mao took over, it was all statues to Mao. And they're
that's
taught
where
in
it's
school.
going.
He's like a god,
That's where
right?
it's going.
They can do
That's where it's going.
anything.
We're
It's
erasing
crazy.
history. On all the new statues will be Barack Hussein Obama
Crazy.
when we're all done. Yep.
Disgusting this is.
Yep.
If this doesn't frighten you, and I'm telling you what, not only
That-
if you're a Democrat, if you're a Republican that supports this, shame
Yeah.
on you too, folks. We have to step up.
Well, the Republicans
and
aren't
scream and
supporting
fight.
it, but they're certainly not fighting for it, man.
Well, we
They're
need to scream
certainly
and
not.
fight.
If I'm first of all, if I'm a Republican, if I'm Donald Trump, I'm playing this video across the country.
Right.
I'm playing Andrew Cuomo saying people are watching you. Do you want Big Brother after you? Because I think geographically, I think this country, that's why we got an electoral college, says I don't want to live like that. I don't want to live like that. I don't want a mask and have to walk into a restaurant. By the way, I keep hearing people say, well, it's not a big deal. You just wear a mask. No, it is a big deal. I don't want to go out to dinner and wear a mask on my face. I don't. And as Robbie, who has defended our country, said, my mask is my face. It's a mask of freedom. That's what I want, right?
In Iran, Mike, they force women to wear a face covering.
Yes.
It's called a hijab.
Yes.
Okay. Tell me again how,
Yeah.
oh, well, it's just a mask.
Just
it's
a mask.
It's just one. To what
Just a
end,
mask, just
folks? To
protect-
what end?
Yeah, because we have 3 deaths right now in the state of
Right.
New York, and we're still wearing a mask.
Right.
We're still not allowed to go see the Yankees play. You're still not allowed to go see Bill's training camp. You're still not allowed to. It's so asinine that you have to wear a mask from the front door to sit at your table in
Outdoors.
a restaurant.
In an outdoor restaurant.
Outdoors.
In an outdoor restaurant. It's
Yeah, even
just-
better yet, outdoors.
Use your
Yeah.
common sense, folks. This is so
Right.
stupid. But one thing, real quick. Hats off. You mentioned the baseball. Hats off to the NHL.
Yes.
For all
Yeah,
standing.
my new
as they
second
should.
favorite sport outside
Yeah.
of drag racing. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and that they drag racing and NASCAR would never allow them to kneel. I don't think. Hopefully.
No, I hope not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me play a little more of this clip.
Yeah, play a little more. Get us
If
really
you-
fired up.
You're not following the rules. If I were you, I would be worried.
I'd be worried.
And that's the way it should be.
He's coming for you.
We're seeing
What about the restaurant? I'm sorry, I had to stop it again. What about the restaurant that put the FU Como on their menu? They came up with a really interesting menu that was
Yes.
French fries
We
and
need to buy everybody-
umbrella sticks or whatever. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But they spelled it out, right? They got fined this week. They got an inspector showing up. I don't know if they actually had a violation outside of the fact that they just insulted Governor Cuomo.
Well,
right?
they apparently they did. That's what they got him for. But the fact that these people have that we're wasting an ounce of energy going after restaurants and bars.
That's all they can go after.
Absolutely ridiculous to me, right? If you are a health inspector, and by the way, I'd love to interview you folks. You don't have the balls to call us back. I literally have called 5-6 times, and then they called me back once accidentally, and then they realized who I was. I'm like, okay. They just got rid of me, right? But how do you not have the stones to come on and defend what you are doing? I'd love to hear from some of you folks, because to me, again, all this stuff should have stopped the minute we had hundreds of thousands of protesters smashing in windows, and the government agencies didn't give a crap about it.
Right.
That's when it all should have stopped. That's when the mask should have come off, and we said, okay, enough is enough. Clearly, you don't care about the 100,000 people smashing in windows, the 300,000 people in Chicago smashing in windows, or 500,000 people in New York City smashing in windows. So I'm done.
Well, how many
going back
examples
to
are we going to
business
have?
as normal.
Whether
Right.
it's protests on the street, whether it's all getting together
The
for
DC
a George
mayor
Floyd.
exempted John Lewis's funeral
That's right.
attendees from the city's
Yep.
quarantine restrictions. So if your mom and dad pass away, you're not allowed to have a service for them.
Right.
If you do, you've got to socially distance and all this bullshit. But the DC mayor says, John Lewis's
problem.
family is more important than you are.
That's right.
All the Democrats that are coming in to visit him, they're more important than you are.
Yep.
And you know what you're doing? You're going, okay, I'll wear my mask
Yeah,
tomorrow.
okay.
No problem. I'll just go into Home Depot with it. Yeah, we're just as guilty, all of us conservatives. Just as guilty.
just
By the
one
way,
last thing,
I'm
too.
not. I haven't been wearing my mask. I won't wear it. I refuse to wear it. I'm done. And I said that. The minute the protest hit, I was done.
These Karens, by the way, that mind your own business. You don't.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to confront somebody, I just watched them confront a bunch of kids. Another video, the lady screaming at these kids. These are like teenagers.
Yeah.
Mind your own business.
Yep.
Mind your own business.
I
If
agree.
you're uncomfortable being in the store with somebody with
Then
no
get
mask
out.
on, then get
Get
out.
out.
Go
That's
home.
right.
Order from
Go to
Amazon. Deliver right to your
Amazon.
door tomorrow.
That's right. That's right.
Anything
That's
you want.
right.
Anything you want.
That's right. Or
Apples,
go-
no problem.
I'll
Bananas,
tell
you got it.
what. I was told that the mask works. So if you wear your mask, you
Should be
won't catch
fine.
it,
That's
right?
right.
And I promise you, when I walk by you, I won't sneeze or spit at you. I won't. I won't. I
Unreal.
promise I will. I haven't spit on anyone in a store in my entire life. I'm 46. Not once have I done that. I promise I won't spit on you in any store, and I won't sneeze on you. If I have to sneeze, I'll look the other way. I'll move out of the way. What do you want to do? You want to wrap this up? We got.
Yeah,
We'll save more for the.
Let me play just a little more of this clip, because
Yeah.
he's about to get to the headlines and whatnot.
Okay, good.
Continued situations that are just not intelligent.
No, not intelligent.
And local governments have to crack down on these, whether they're in New York City or Long Island or they're in upstate New York. How a charter boat could put together a crowd on deck
Damn
and
it.
leave, it's just, it's disrespectful, it's
Disrespectful.
illegal.
But the funeral was fine.
Oh yeah,
John
the
Lewis'
funeral
funeral was fine.
It is,
Yeah, John
it
Lewis
not
is
only
fine.
violates public health, it violates common decency.
But the protest
probably
didn't.
in the country.
So now,
But the
you're violating common
protesters
decency.
didn't
Yeah.
violate common decency. They were smashing in freaking windows
Yep.
and destroying the city, and that that was what, common decency? Is that what that was? I mean,
Yeah.
this is unreal to me.
It's unreal. It's bizarro world. Let me tell you
Yes.
something, folks. We're going to come to a point about 6 months from now, especially in places like New York, where they're going to start crying about the huge budget deficits that
Oh,
they
yeah.
have, right?
Yep.
Because they shut down businesses, and
Yep.
now they're putting them out of business by
the next
taking their
it'll be
liquor
the
license.
the state tax collectors. That'll be the next health inspectors, by the way.
Yep.
The next health inspectors will be the state tax collectors. I assure
That's
you
right.
of that.
Yep, they'll be knocking on your door.
Yep.
Going, did you remodel your house? Do we have
Yep.
to reassess? You wait till the
Yeah.
property taxes and the income taxes
Did you
and the
file a
fees
permit for that
and the
tax? Yeah.
surcharges. Yeah, you just wait till all this stuff. But here's the thing, folks. When 6 months from now, when they don't have the money to fund the roads and the bridges again, when they don't have the money to keep the parks open, when they start talking about cutting firefighters and police officers
Yep.
and those types of teachers are going to start talking about cutting. They're going to start talking about the fact that they can't open up, Chestnut Ridge. Those kinds. I want you to remember when these politicians like Mark Poloncarz start talking about what they need to cut, and it will always be the things that hurt us the most.
Yep.
The police and fire. I want you to remember who took raises, who took overtime pay, who kept going around to businesses, who they kept on the payroll, right? Because they got plenty of time and plenty of money to pay all these inspectors, all kinds of money to put businesses out of business and take their liquor license.
Please, you
Sickening.
police officers, please.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
Stop it.
We've had your backs.
We already know, by the way, in the state of New York, you are the first to be on the chopping block, right?
Yes, right.
We've just defunded $1 billion out of the New York City Police Department. You are the first. So the fact that I hear any police officer showed up anywhere with a health inspector, that absolutely disgusts me. Some of you have a set of stones and say, I'm not going in there to bother these businesses. Stop.
It's crazy. Let's talk just for 1 minute about finances, and then we'll wrap things up, because there's definitely a huge disconnect between reality and the economy and what's going on in the stock market. And I think that people just need to make sure that they have their allocations set properly, because, it seems this feels a lot like 1999. I'm getting a lot of questions about what if Joe Biden does win. I think President Trump might lose. What do you think? To be honest with you, I'm less worried about a Biden win from a stock market standpoint. I am certainly worried about a Biden win for the destruction of the company and those, the future of my children. Yeah. However, with the stock market, I think the biggest risk is really a hung election, right?
Yes.
And the Democrats have already said they're going to contest the election, right? So that's what to watch for, folks. Just make sure you've got a proper allocation. Make sure that you are in a position to where you can rebalance. Make sure you have some dry powder on the side so you can take advantage of a pullback in the market. And that's really all I wanted to mention, just as a closing thing.
Be patient. And that's, with all of our models, we've been doing that. And, it's worked. I mean, when you look back at our models, I'll use our balance model as an example. We were able to rebalance at Dow 29,000, which meant we took some money and set it aside. The markets took a huge hit from COVID, went down to 18,000. We actually rebalanced at about 19,000. But when we rebalanced and we brought some of that cash back, we actually bought a lot more shares than we were able to do just a month or two ago. So that's how you take advantage of the swings. And the other thing is the market will continue to look for the winners, and the winners are going to be less, but there will be winners out there. We're already seeing that. We're seeing tech companies now beating their earnings by 13, 14%, earnings that were predicted a year ago, right? Well, why is that? Because everybody's moving to tech, right? You're forced to work from home. You're forced to do this. You're forced to do that. You've got to identify those winners, because, as we know, I'll give you an example. Lord & Taylor, Men's Warehouse owner, filed for bankruptcy this week, right? So what does that mean? Well, that means obviously Lord & Taylor, retail's getting hurt. It also means places like a retail real estate trust you got to be careful of, right? I mean, malls. How's the Galleria Mall, which is Lord & Taylor's one of their biggest tenants in there, how are they going to survive, right? Maybe Amazon takes it over. I don't know. It's a warehouse.
Yeah.
But there's going to be winners and losers, folks, and you better be prepared to look for them, because it is going to be a very, I would say this, a stock picker's market, I think, over the short term, which you've got to be prepared for.
In the long term, I will say this. If we don't stand up, folks, and start screaming and pushing back like we're doing on this podcast, everybody needs to get this angry. We need to get mad, and we need to push back against the tyranny that we're seeing here, because otherwise, if this continues, folks, what do you say? Day 156.
Yeah,
it'll be
day 756.
We'll have a Great Depression. We will have another Great Depression. To rival the 10 years. I mean, people starved during the Great Depression, right? Yeah, families had to all move into, to one house with each other. And the sad thing is, when you look at the list of, there was a museum, I think, I can't remember what it was, that put up, your whiteness, having your own bedroom and being prosperous is somehow, like, how insulting is that to the black community? But the fact of the matter is, we won't have our own bedrooms. No. We will all be living in one house. Everybody, if we don't get the economy together. Except for Cuomo. Except for Cuomo and the elite class.
And there'll still be an upper class. And what will happen is the gap between the rich and the poor will get worse, right?
And there won't be a middle class, so that'll be for sure.
There will not be a middle class. That's right. What has happened up until COVID and the left-wing takeover, you started to see the middle class become more upper middle class, right? And by the way, it's been pretty easy. And it's extremely easy I don't care whether you're black or white. If you're a black person right now and you want to start a business, there has never been a better time. You know why? Because we have millions of people on unemployment sitting there collecting money to do nothing. And there is such a huge demand. Call today. I don't care where you live in the country. Call and try to get a plumber. Call and try to get an electrician.
Right, exactly.
Call and try to get somebody to clean your freaking house. Call and get somebody to actually clean your pool. Right? It's impossible.
Yeah.
How could that be? It's millions of people on unemployment, right?
It's the best time, whether you're black or white, to start a business, unless it's a bar and restaurant in New York State.
That's right. That's
Just
right.
want to be clear about that.
That's
If it's
right.
a bar
You
and
need-
restaurant in New York
anything
State,
you need a
it doesn't
special-
matter what kind of color you are. It's not a
Anything
good
you need
deal.
a special permit from New York State for, stay away because
Yeah.
they are coming after you. So, all right.
Crazy.
Mike Lomas, Glenn Wiggle, more coming up on our Financial Guys radio network this week. So make sure you check us out on the radio. Hit the bell and subscribe to us on YouTube. There's not enough conservative talk out there. We've got to get the message going. Go to our website, thefinancialguys.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and we'll be back next week. God bless. Keep the fight up.